Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to go over how to make these notepads. Showed you them in a previous video. Let me show you again so you know what we're going to be making. It's super simple project. Let's see. I should have had the page bookmarks, but here we go. We're going to be making these. Today, we're going to just use glue. Not going to be doing any sewing today because I don't have my sewing machine out. But all you need is paper, ribbon, trim, whatever you want to embellish them with. And they're super easy to make. And they're great to add writing space to your journal. I also have a free printable available that you can use as a template if you want. Okay, so first thing you're gonna want to do is to gather your paper that you want to use for your notepads. This is a good size. I'm assuming that's probably about 8 inches, 10 inches. And I think I'm going to be making the notepads. We're just basically, if you have an entire sheet of paper, you will fold it in half. And you can fold it in half again and simply cut or tear however you want. It just depends on what type of edges you would like on your notepad. I think I'm gonna go for a more rustic look, so I'm going to be tearing my pages. And since these are already in this format, I really don't have to do anything else for the time being with that. So that makes it a lot easier. I would say get about 5 sheets of paper. And you don't have to use this type of paper, just whatever paper you have around. I'm just going to be using tea-dyed paper. And again, I'm just folding it. I'm gonna tear it in the middle. And that's all I'm doing to that right now. So you're gonna end up with a piece of paper like this. So it depends on how thick you want your notepad to be. If this may be a pretty good size, I think I want to add in a couple of different pages. I just took, this one is just a notebook piece of paper that has been tea-dyed as well. And it can go in the middle here. You can just layer it however you would like. Probably going to do one more of the notebook paper. That way I'm going for like every other page. Again, just folding it in half and then folding it in half again. And just making one tear down the center, and this will become one notepad. Another way to do this is simply just by stapling it together. Of course, my stapler is in the closet. But all you would need to do is if you're going to staple it, if you're going to sew it, you will staple it, sew it, glue it right here across the edge. And that will then leave your notepad together. Depends, you can turn this into 2 notepads or 1 notepad. I think I am going to make this into 2 separate notepads. So what I'm going to do now is just cut right here. But like I said, if you want to leave it that thick, then all you would need to do would be to sew it across the edge, and that will bind your pages together. I'm going to be using hot glue just a little bit to bind my pages together to seal it, and I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like and just when I have them glued together. Okay, I'm back, and I wanted to show you guys that you can actually glue this really well with tacky glue. I recommend using tacky glue to complete this step, or any other glue that is really strong, a craft glue. You can use a glue gun, but then you're going to run into a lot of warping up here on your notepad. We're going to use a glue gun to attach our lace and that, but I'm going to actually show you the process of using the tacky glue. And if you want to give your notepad more bulk in the back, you can use, as your back page, you can use a sheet of cardstock, printed cardstock or scrapbook paper that's thicker. That way you can have more bulk and something sturdy on the back of your notepad. So I'm going to use this as the back of my notepad. I'm going to then just start applying the pages that we made earlier, and I'm just gonna add the tacky glue right here on the edge. You're just making your own notepad, and you can do this however you want to in whatever pattern you choose. I'm just going to attach my pages, and I find with my disability that it's easier to apply glue with a paintbrush than try to actually squeeze. So this has been my go-to method of applying glue recently. Because once it gets down towards the bottom, it's kind of hard to get it out. So a paintbrush helps the process. If you're going to sew these, all you have to do is put them together and run it under your sewing machine. It depends on how thick paper you can run through your machine. I recommend having a sewing machine for junk journaling that you pick up at a thrift store. Don't use your good machine on paper. That's just my personal recommendation. Because if something happens to it, you're not going to worry about the money that you spent on the machine and having to get it repaired or purchase another one. I normally use the sewing machine, but like I said, I have it put up today, so I do not have it out. So today we're just going to glue it. So now it is all together, and as you can see, it's actually really sealed. And you can actually go in here and make a fold to fold your pages. So there are the individual pages. So now what we're going to do, if you use my printable, you can print it out and cut out the paper washi tape that I give you in the printable, and you can use the embellishments with that printable or whatever you have that you want to embellish. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab my embellishments. Okay, I grabbed the embellishments that I'm going to use. If you have the printable, then you can use the embellishments with the printable. I am going to distress the edges on these two items and just ink them. As you can see right now, they do not look very old or antique looking. So all you have to do is roughen up the edges. I normally do this with scissors and just lightly go over the edges. These images were printed with cardstock, so you have to have a really heavy cardstock in order to distress with. This method of distressing will not work if your paper is thin, because it would just shred your paper. So if you're going to roughen up the edges, otherwise you can just ink the edges and do it that way. So now I'm going to take the Vintage Photo Distress ink and I'm going to distress ink the edges of this image. You can see the difference in the one that I've inked and the one that's not inked. I hope that I'm actually in frame of the camera. I should have checked to make sure that I'm properly positioned. That should be something you check. Okay, so now we have those complete. You're going to get your ribbon, your lace, any of that stuff that you want to add, and I'm going to add lace. And this lace, I would say you want to make it the same size as your notepad. So I think my notepads are about 4 or 5 inches long, so that's how long I cut those. And I'm gonna see how this looks. I'm gonna just play around with different layering to see how I want to layer this image, or how I want to layer. And I think I want to cut this and actually make a little X with that, and then put this on top. And I will probably add twine as well. And okay, here's twine. So some strips of twine, that way we get a little bit more of a rustic look. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue the lace, then I'm going to glue the ribbon, glue on the twine, and then place the image on top. I'll be right back. I'm gonna glue it and I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to complete the process on camera for you of gluing this on. So I have hot glue here. Hopefully it will stay hot enough, because I had to unplug it to get to my surface here. So I'm going to try to work really fast to show you guys how to do this. So have the lace glued. Then we are going to glue our ribbon quickly. Just want to put hot glue there. And this doesn't have to be matched up perfect. You're going for a rustic look. Well, I'm going for a rustic look. And you can see that the glue makes a little bit of a mess, but you can easily wipe that off. Then my daughter is waking up from her nap. All you have to do is glue this last piece on there, and you have your completed notepads. So this is the final product. I'll flip through it for you, and scrapbook paper on the back. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It will help me bring you more tutorials in the future. And if you want printable instructions and the printable, it's going to be in a link in the description. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.